Spring scouting part 2. So this first clip here is going to be in the parcel where I got my buck this year. And I have some history there. So I shot a buck there last year. That video is Scout, Hunt, Harvest, Repeat. I go into a little bit more detail on that. But I wanted to figure out where this buck was coming from, where he was going. Shot him in the morning, so I know he was going back to bedding. I just didn't know exactly where that bedding was. So I got in there. I found a couple little areas that look pretty good. I found a different bed that looks really good, but that one's going to be really hard to hunt. I have a good idea on how I'm going to do that, but as far as kind of refining that spot that I was in, I still think it's just the perfect area. You know, it's between a couple oak stands. There's a CRP, so it's just a hotbed for deer activity. So I learned a lot on this first part here, kind of really narrowing down and perfecting this parcel. It's only good for like the first week of the season, really, until people get in there. It's really good on north winds. I've kind of figured that out now, so pretty happy with what I've been able to learn there. I am out at the park where I shot my buck this year, and I'm right at the shot location. I'm trying to see, where was this buck going? Where was he coming from? What has changed since last year? What has changed since the season? That split trunk tree right there, that's where me and Chris were sitting. So this trail is still here, just barely visible. Start here. I'm gonna walk over here and hopefully find a bedding area. That'd be cool. That'd be really cool. So the buck died right here. This is the trail, right up over the hill right there. The shot over there. The tree is over there somewhere. But here's what I come across. This looks like a really early season rub, actually. See how it's white and stuff like that, which I did shoot my buck October 7th or something, so obviously early. But this is thigh high here, and you can see tine marks in the back. So you got super tall. Looks like that could have been broken off by him, but tine marks in the back, so that's a good distance there. So that potentially could be one of his rubs. So we have this little raised hill that goes up into the CRP field. Big trail coming in here. Couple old signpost rubs. This one's been tagged. It's in like a tamarack, isolated little tamarack area. So I was like, this has to be a bed. There has to be beds. I saw this one, which doesn't appear to be too high. It's about, just above the knee. But this one here, it looks to be about the same height, right? But where the deer would be standing here, see if I can show this. If you were in the middle and brought it out, it's middle of the thigh, or above middle of the thigh. That's a mature buck right there. Could be the same one, not sure, but that screams early season to me. Which, like I just said, it's early's when I got mine. This one here is definitely low. And obviously the midpoint's kind of right here, and this one's been hit a little bit lower. This whole area is just covered with historic rubs. Branches broken, trees broken, that sort of thing. So I am gonna mark this for sure. Oh, you know what? I'm actually also in an oxbow. Hot tip, deer bed and oxbows for sure, because they're surrounded on all sides by water. But this looks like it'd be a little isolated little area. It looks pretty interesting. One thing to keep in mind as hunters is that the state, city, county, whatever,
they don't manage the land for hunters. They manage it for people in the outdoors. So here's a old historic rub that is waist high. I know this area has the potential to hold big deer, but the county has came in and added in more trails and cleared out wood lots and burned the CRP and clear cut and mowed saplings and all this stuff. And ever since, this is my 3rd year hunting it, and I've already noticed a difference. So it's like, what have they done over the last 20 years or something? Like, this place could have had the potential to have a mature buck, an absolute giant mature buck, but after all the work to make it better for people to enjoy, not so much. So it's like, yes, it's good to do that, but at the expense of a deer hunter. It's okay. They're around here somewhere. So I was following this deer trail here, and I was like, I wonder if this is a human trail or a deer trail. Look at that. And deer hair right there. That's cool. That's rubbed up, but seeing deer hair there. That's pretty neat. And this one's cool. Look how deep these are. Again, I think this is early season. This could be from my buck, I'm not sure. Obviously, this one's gonna be up a little bit higher because the elevation changed there, but yeah, this tree got tagged. This trail here goes there, circles around. Right past there is where I shot my deer. That's a CRP field that he came out of. There's little islands circled around. I shot him over there. So this trail circles all the way. So I wonder if he was using this trail. I still haven't found a predominant bed or anything. Could have just been bed in the CRP. I don't know. Here's a good example of being the detective. Okay, so we have a bed here. You really see the alignment being shaped, which that direction's south, so it's gonna get a lot of shade. Wind's gonna probably come over his back like this, and he's kind of looking out all over this. Granted, this is gonna be tall, right? And I'm looking, and it's like, I don't see any other beds around. There's no satellite beds or anything, small ones. There's just giant one. Really no hair. So I'm like, what is going on? But walking around here, might not seem like much, but if he is standing here, so where he would be standing here, reaching out, that's chest freaking high. And that doesn't look as white, not as old as the other ones. This one looks a little bit more fresh. But you got tine ticks. I mean, can't see anything else behind them. But that is high. So every time you see a bed, walk around it. Look for those little subtle signs. That was a teeny tiny little rub, diameter-wise, like not thrashed, But it was so high. That's definitely a mature buck. Definitely. So here's this little bush that he was on. And here's the crossing trail from the stream right there. And what's interesting, that's the tree that I killed my buck out of. Big crossing trail here. I don't see any other beds on this side. Kind of in water right here. But this isn't. Got a little faint trail here. Got a crossing trail here. This trail goes up. Huh. This one's a weird one. This one's stumping me. Acorns are gonna be that way, but acorns are also that way. And probably that way. Like acorns are all around. There's crops that way. Damn. Access would have to be from that way. Granted, there's a human trail, which is fine. I firmly believe that they can smell when you're on that human trail when you're not. It's like being able to loop way around on an off wind or something. So I'm gonna mark this and check out this area more. Well, I know this place isn't getting any human pressure. I thought this was a flagging tape. This is my frickin' his strap that I left out here October 1st or 2nd, 2021. Wow, I hunted that birch right there. And I know I lost it. And I came up, or not that birch, the poplar. When I came up to that poplar, I came back out to look for it. These things are pretty expensive, so I was like, I'm gonna go look for it. Huh, that is cool.
I say spot one just for that one particular area because I'm trying to look for new spots. So obviously where I shot my buck, I'm gonna hunt that this coming up season. But I'm just kind of tracking new spots that I find. So that's why that one was labeled number one and not number two. But so spot number two is I was heading through this really dense thicket. It was a nightmare to get into. And all of a sudden it just kind of opened up. I was following a deer trail and it was really grown in. So I was like, man, I don't know if a buck is going to be able to get through here. But I hit this opening and it was just thrashed. I mean, I have never seen trees, the size of bigger than a quarter, smaller than a $50 or so, just shredded, ripped out of the ground, broke in half. And I always think to myself, when trying to break, I mean, even saplings half that size, it's tough for us to do as humans, but deer can just rip those out of the ground. So I didn't really spend too much time in this one. It was raining, it was cold. I had the dogs with me, so I had to keep an eye on them, that sort of thing. So I definitely had that spot marked. But that's one of those areas where mark the spot and then I'm going to go in there and refine it later because this is going to be an awesome pre-rut spot.
I am in this absolute thicket here. It was such a pain to get in here, but I came into this little opening. Just look at that. I mean, that is a big branch, just ripped to pieces. This. That's broken. Got this. That's broken. There's one right there. Got this, it's all shredded up. Got this, it's all shredded up. That one's broken. Little rub. And it's all just following this buck trail. There's some rubs over there. But he just comes in here and just thrashes because this is the only little opening in here that he can get in and kind of work around. Rub.
All right, spot number 3. This one was pretty interesting. So this was the same day, and I was just following this deer trail in, and I actually posted it on my story. I was like, look at these little mounds. You'll see the clip in there of just like root balls that they bed on. Yeah, I walk in there and it's just bed after bed after bed. And what I've learned kind of from infall is as you get further back, the buck sign will pick up, and that's what I noticed. I was standing on one of those, root balls looking around. I'm like, God, these are massive beds. Worn into the dirt, long hair, short hair, like they're really getting used. And I look over and I just see this super tall rub. And I was like, okay, here we go.
I am in some pretty deep water. All that stuff's like knee deep. Gotta get through. You have these little root balls here. And you can tell all that hair. All the white, that's all hair. You got poop, bunch of poop over there, hair over there. So when you're in these areas, I bet you that's another bed right there. Let's see. Yeah, look for these little root balls. Yep, look at all that hair. Wow. Tons of hair on this. Tons and tons and tons. I bet this bed gets used year round. Nice high spot here. As you can see, standing water all around this root ball. If this was private land, I'd be cleaning up all of this so they could have this whole spot to bed. I'd be snipping all these, but can't do that. Oh, look at that, rubs. Buck bedded here at one point. Not surprised. I mean, it's pretty deep water. Here's another one. Big old high spot. Look at those close there. I wonder if something happened. All the standing water here. But I'm just following this trail, seeing where it's taking me. The beds are picking up. Oh, that's deep. That's past my shin. This is looking good, all this cover here. There's another one right there. Whoa, that's past the boot. That's wet. Wonder what the hell broke this. Jesus. Head with I would think that'd be a person, my God. I don't know. So I'm on another one. Still a bunch of hairs. You can see that clump right there. But what makes this one interesting, got a big trail that way. I came in on that trail. There's trail there. There's trail there. There's a trail there. What does that mean? Spokes of the wheel. And look at that. Big. Even bigger. I think this is a buck. Target acquired. It's chest high. Granted, you could bend it down. I get that. This is broken off. Chest high. Coming in to make this rub. There's a tine mark right there, shoulder high. And I'm standing where you'd be standing. The rub, waist high. Found one. I'm feeling a bit discouraged just because like how deep this is, and like you can't come up on this quiet. But I think back to Jacob Sklenner, Wild Calling Outdoors. He posted a picture of a buck walking through an area in November and it was completely dry cattails. And then a side-by-side with when he just scouted it a month or so ago, and it was shin deep water. So that's what, man, I have to imagine that this is right now. Like, this is just completely flooded. Because if this is like normal, then whew, that's difficult. That would be very hard because it's so loud. But I'm not really seeing much sign outside of the bed. I don't know, this is weird. So all these trees out here, I believe this is a swamp oak, which is a white oak, which is what they're going to target early season. All of those tall trees, all of them are swamp oaks. So it's like he has freaking acorns in his bed. Why would he need to move? So it could be a morning spot. I don't know. Just came up on this island. This is completely dry bed. So this is going to be a fawn. It's going to be the mama doe. Probably kicked him out of here. How dry it is. There's a print. Super fresh.
Yeah, this spot was it was tough. Like I said, the standing water, it was just so deep outside of those root balls. So during season, if it's lower water, it would be a much easier hunt. But that area, you know, it had red osier dogwood, it had oaks, it had everything right in the bedding area. There was a kind of a clear path out, but it was just trails everywhere. So I'm gonna have to spend a lot more time in there to pick a tree and to figure that spot out. I have an idea of where I'd want to go, but that's gonna be a tough one. But it's very good looking rub. So if that buck is back, he's gonna be a good one this year for sure. So I'm working my way further and further back into this parcel here, and I was talking with Joe, the boogeyman, from Road to the Rut on the Deer Hunter podcast, and he's familiar with that area, and he's like, yo, these spots are pretty deep, but he's like, I saw some good sign in here previously, and go check them out. So I kind of was his test dummy, you could say, or whatever, but he wasn't kidding when he said it was a deep area. So I am hopping from, they're not even root balls, it's just like clumps of trees and fallen branches and stuff like that, just trying to stay somewhat dry. And this swamp water was disgusting. I mean, it's covered in algae and muck, and it smelled terrible. It was deep. And I'm like, I gotta push through. There was this little piece that bordered a private crop field, so it's still public, and it's just surrounded by this kind of waist deep hellhole. And I'm like, I gotta get back there. It's gonna be good, you know. So I kept pushing through, and you'll see what I find. It's something very special to me.
When the boogeyman says the swamp is deep, he's not kidding. This stuff. Look at that. But all those trees in the distance there is the last woodlot that backs up to a private crop field. So chances are there's good sign in there. It's just a pain in the ass right there. Oh, that was up to the knee. There she goes. Could have been a deer, or could have been a buck, I don't know. Shed antlers, but pretty good camouflage, I guess. Gotta get there. Almost there. Definitely not sketchy. rub doesn't really seem that impressive. It's high, it's, you know, thigh high. But tine marks in the back. You know, it's a good distance back there. Can't, you know, you have to push in there, but pretty tall tines. Oh my God, I am so excited. Oh, this is the first shed I have ever found in my life. Oh my God, wading through that swamp was worth it. Oh, dude, that is a stud. Whoa, ho, ho, ho. That is thick. Wow. It's already been nibbled on too, right there. Oh my God, it's gonna be a 10 this year, I betcha. Wow, 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 that has some mass to it. It's the first shed I have ever found, ever in my life. And it's this freaking tank. I cannot believe this right now. Number 2. Oh. Oh my God. This could be the same one. They're ugly, but similar size. I'll show it around. Look at that. I don't know. I'm not good enough at sheds to know. Like, is this the set? Could be.
Yeah, so I found my first sheds. I think they're a match set. The guys at the archery shop didn't think so, but I'm gonna say they are. I mean, they were 20 yards apart from each other probably. They look similar coloring, similar base diameter. That one side's deformed, so the pedicle is a little bit different. But I'm gonna say it's a match set because it makes me feel better. But who knows, right? But it's one hell of a deer. I scored out that 4-point side, and it was 44 inches, just the shed, no spread, nothing like that. So that's gonna be a good deer. The mass is unreal for the area. So obviously that's gonna be a late season spot for me. I was kind of too giddy with the sheds, and I didn't really pick out a tree, didn't pick out access, didn't really do anything like that. Next day I head back out, same general area. And again, it was just super wet, middle of the shin, you know, type of stuff. And I saw like a couple trees out in distance, and I had a new hunter with me, Aaron. He hit me up on Instagram and was like, "Hey, you know, do you mind taking me out?" Yeah, of course. So we're going out, and I'm like, okay, we're really deep water right now, but if you look ahead of us, you can see those trees. That's gonna be some high ground. If it is high ground, it's gonna be bedding. So we walk up to it, and it's a pretty big area, nice and high, completely dry, and it's just scattered full of beds. So definitely a good doe bedding area. And I was kind of telling him how it's not really worthwhile to hunt. It's just does. Like, yeah, if you want to get a deer or want to get meat, sure, you can hunt it, but I'm looking for bucks, right? So I'm not gonna hunt it until the rut, and I'm gonna hunt downwind, and I'm gonna hunt off a point, you know, that sort of thing. So I was kind of explaining that, where it's a little bit different trying to hunt a doe bedding area versus a buck bedding area, you know, that sort of thing. But this is kind of just that perfect example of all the trails funneling into one little opening, a lot of beds around, you know, kind of textbook doe bedding area. Mark it, keep an eye on it for the rut.
So here we have a bed that's tucked up into this. If you get down here, that's all gonna be shaded out early season. We got hares in here. This is a doe bed because there's no rubs. Everything is clear around here. And then if you look out here, got a bed there, maybe a bed there, bed there, bed there. Looks like a bed I just walked through. So this whole area here is going to be a doe bedding area. No rubs, multiple beds, kind of in this wide open so they can all look out, bed in that circle, check for danger. But all the travel comes in from that point right there. What's nice about this area, all of this is all standing water. Everything is surrounded by water. But we're on this little patch of dry land. That's going to be guaranteed bedding when they can stay dry, and all the sea is swamp. So me and Aaron are working our way around just this nasty area, and we come up on a little high ground again, and it's all those, you know, like little mini root balls and in the standing water. I don't know what that stuff is called, but just a pain in the ass to walk through. And all these trails just go into this one opening, and there's these, you know, poplars right there. And I was like, okay, this is going to be a rut cruising area. This is looking really good. So we start to pick out those trees. We walk, you know, it's that scrub brush. So marsh, scrub brush, marsh, hardwoods. And like, okay, that's probably going to be all bedding through that brush right there. And we found this other little opening, and it's just, I mean, all these trails funnel right in. And so it's like, here's an example of a funnel or a pinch point, whatever you want to call it. Here's where everything kind of comes together. Here's a tree, you got to shoot this one, and you can shoot that trail. And I was like, you know, we can sit here and here on the downwind side of that, and we should just be seeing some bucks cruise there through the rut. So that's going to be a good rut spot if I can make it out there. You know, I'm not the best rut hunter. I'll be the first to admit that. And it's a good while drive away. So I don't know if I'll get back there to hunt it, but it has all the ingredients for sure to be a good rut cruising spot. So we have all this thick brush here. We have all this thick brush here. There's a little opening. All those trails that come right in and go that way. There's a couple that go off that way. Originally I thought this tree would be perfect, but it's directly in line, so the deer is going to move right in towards you. One, that's a hard shot. Two, they'll see you. And yeah, you got these ones over here. They're a lot smaller, harder to get into, but as they walk in, they won't see you, and they'll be more broadside for a perfect shot. So this will be a good, like, rut cruising area, I would think. Seeing everything come in here, file out that way. So I was right there, but I came to the tree that I pointed at, and right here is another trail. So that points to this one being the best, because then you can shoot that trail and you can shoot this trail. Because that trail comes in right here, it connects up, and it goes back that way. So if you're sitting over there in that tree, you wouldn't be able to get a shot. It would be very hard, very quick to get a shot there. This tree lends better to shoot there, or if anything comes in over here. Yeah, and then we ended with a very tough walk. It was very flooded bog, and it was like the road is right there, and instead of walking, like, you know, the 2 miles back around, it was like the road is right there. We just got to get through this couple hundred yards of shit, and it turned out to be a very tough walk, and I applaud him. He's a young kid and hasn't really done this stuff before, so he stuck with me. We made it through, didn't get too wet, so you know, didn't really find it what I was looking for, but we still had a good time out there. So there's the road right there. I was thinking this is gonna be an overlooked spot, but it's just wet, bouncing root balls. How you doing?
A little wet. A little hard to get to.
This is sketchy. So the next day, go out to that same spot, and a couple more pins that Joe dropped for me, and he's like, dude, this is gonna be wet. All right, you know, and met up with two other guys that hit me up on Instagram actually too. So Cody and Mikey,
props to you guys, man. That day, I don't think I've ever been more wet in my life scouting for deer or hunting or anything like that. That was an incredible day, and we were out for a while. So it was bravo for sticking with me. And we didn't find anything, and I don't know how. Honestly, I mean, you're just waist deep, knee deep, whatever it is, to try to get out there. There's some high ground and no human sign whatsoever. You just had to get through the worst of the worst to get there, and there was just no sign. So I don't know. I was really baffled by it. I've never experienced something like that before, because usually the harder the walk, the nastier the terrain, the better the sign, and that's been my experience. And this was the opposite. It was definitely miserable to get there. Luckily it wasn't cold, or we would have really been screwed. But it was terrible. We were swimming the whole time and didn't find any buck sign. So I don't want to say it was a wasted day, but it wasn't a productive day, let's say.
Are we deer hunting or are we duck hunting? No one knows. You get to the point of just, you're gonna get wet. Once that boot goes under the first time, you're just in it. Come on. Like, you're just up to your knees. Screw it. How you doing, Cody?
Oh, cold. Wet.
Refreshing, eh?
Yeah.
Why is the guy with the waders all the way back there?
Who needs waders? Let's go swimming.
Are you over the waders?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I got one more for you. There we go. Oh.
Oh, that's a good one. How are yours holding up?
That ain't bad.
Whoa!
Oh, we're just in it now. We're just in it. Oh. Remember that video I
Hey, Mikey, why don't you stand up and join us up here? There you go. Back of the hole.
So I finally got the chance to meet up with Joe, and took me around his place. And he has that private land piece in the swamp, and he was showing me how he set that up and how he runs that, what he calls copy and paste. So what he looks for on public land and everything like that, and models it off his private land piece. So we took a good walk around his property, took a look at everything, and then went to a couple other spots that he wanted to set up. And man, I had I know I can find those overlooked spots. That's really what I've been targeting recently. But the spots that he took me to were overlooked. I mean, it was absolutely nothing on the map. It doesn't even look like anything. So his strategy is, if it has all the ingredients for bucks to move through there, but maybe not the big buck sign, maybe not buck bedding, that sort of thing, he's going to put a scrape right there. Hopefully to find a natural scrape and soup it up, or make a scrape and monitor that. So what he's looking for is, kind of points in the swamp, thick bedding, potential bedding on the outskirts of that point, close by food and close by doe bedding. So as long as it has kind of those four main ingredients, even if there's no, big rubs, even if there's no buck beds that you can identify, he's not trying to put a buck on a bed. He's just trying to hunt that bedding area, and then put that scrape in there to attract the deer and to monitor, get inventory of that area and see if it's worth hunting. So we went into the spot, really inconspicuous access, doesn't look like anything on the map, and we walk in there and it really is just opening, kind of a field opening type thing, and you could just see all the doe beds. Point on the swamp and it's just super thick. Assuming that's going to be buck bedding. And then on that point, on that high ground is oaks. So he just made, and then he looks for those little oak trees, baby oak trees, and then puts a scrape under it. So I mean, he called it the Taj Mahal scrape. It was like 6 foot in diameter, it's huge. We identified the tree, prepped the area, did everything like that. So we actually ended up hitting 3 spots. So the first one that you see, the second one was something very similar, except it was more of an island. I already had a scrape on it, already had travel through it, you know, that sort of thing. So just kind of souped it up. And the third one was to food. So found a tree that was right outside of a private ag field. Again, really inconspicuous access, doesn't look like anything. So without having boots on the ground, without scouting it in person, you would never ever find it. So it was very interesting to learn from him, to see how he does it, just a little bit different. And that's kind of been my thinking recently, is learn from all the best, get all their tips and tricks, try everything and figure out what works for you. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. He definitely shifted my mindset, and after listening to a couple other guys, you know, I'm gonna start focusing on those scrapes a little bit more. I think that's gonna be really good. You know, I really like identifying those buck beds. Knowing that a buck is living there is really gonna help me. Put a scrape there and have a camera on it to monitor it. And, you know, I don't know if it'll pay off this year, but I'm hoping it'll pay off for next year. Get an idea of when that buck is using it, when the timing is right, so I can hunt it better next year. So that's kind of going to be my strategy for this coming season. I'm going to make a video on my hunting strategy for this season, so I'll go into more detail there. But I definitely learned a lot from Joe. It was very enlightening, eye-opening to learn from him for sure.
We're setting up a spot. This is all feeding. This is all oaks. Like I said, we like to soup up these are oak trees, these young oak trees. This is what they like to scrape, so I've been doing these more. We got that quad that, I don't know, it's like 6 trunks. We could shoot into the swamp if the buck is trying to skirt the scrape, or we shoot them at the scrape, and then we got bedding right there on this high spot right behind us. It's overlooked. It looks like shit. Don't look like nothing, you know what I mean? But we gotta get in here.
Got another scrape system that we're setting up.
Yeah.
Here. We identified that tree right there. This was a natural scrape that he's souping up. The big travel corridor right through here. And it goes that way. Beds all around on this island. So they come in across this little island, hit this scrape. They're definitely going to be coming here, hit these, and then this is where the shot's going to be. And they're going to work their way down here. Got beds in here. And then up there is the trail crossing, and it goes out to that big oak over there. It's really thick bedding in there. So it's all surrounded by bedding here. They work in, they come up across this island and just go straight across this island. We got oaks everywhere. Come hit this scrape and we'll be ready for them.
Now I'm going to my private land piece. I've had permission here. This will be my 4th year. It's like 10 acres, and over half of it is swamp. When the water level is low, I got a lot of bucks daylighting during season around there, but that was 4 years ago, and I wasn't nearly as good as I am now, I like to think. So I didn't really know how to hunt it. It's been really wet these last few years, so it's kind of messed up the bedding. I'm still dialing in that timing, and you know, it's tough because it's such a small piece. that you can't go out and find them, right? You have to wait till they're there, and they are there. But you know, I'll get really nice bucks on camera all summer, early fall, kind of that late August, early September. They disappear, and then they'll come back sporadically in rut and in late season. You know, so I'm really trying to dial it down, but some of my biggest bucks are there, and it's not too often you find chest high rubs, you know, so there's some good ones walking around, and I'm hoping that this year turns out better for me.
I'm at my private land permission piece, and I've been chasing this buck for a couple years now. This is last year's rub, waist high. This is this year's rub. This thing is a giant. But I can't figure him out because this is a small piece and he's not bedding here. And I haven't been able to figure out that timing when he passes through. So that's what I've been trying to figure out for a couple years now. And he's been giving me the slip. But he is a giant. I have pictures of him, but never seen him yet. Haven't been able to figure him out yet. They'll be here in summer and spring, summer, and early fall. But then move on once October comes. And then they're sporadic through November in the rut. So that's why it's tough. Because it's not consistent. It's easy to hone in on the consistent patterns, but when they're sporadic and random, it's tough. We got balloons. All this blue is balloons. Where they fall apparently is good bedding. Look at this. This is so worn down. So much hair. This is what I like to see for a very well used bed. They're definitely in here consistently. There's short hair, there's long hair, so year round. Worn down to the dirt. I mean, there's another bed, so this is all going to be does in here. But this is just crazy. A family of does just shacked up here. Bed after bed, just worn down to the dirt. Tons of hair in it. There's more here too. Another bed. Wow. Pretty sure a doe family group or two is calling this place home. That's for sure. Geez, there's another one. Holy cow. So it's all in that same little island. Bed. 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 Big bed. Big bed. 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 They are just shacked up in this little area here. Of course, surrounded by water, right on the tip of a point.
This next spot's pretty close to my house. I'm taking what I learned from Joe and applying it here. It's I ended up finding two spots. I talk about the access in there. I talk about the property layout, but it was just kind of a point, dense pines across to swampy areas. Another pine thicket that I still need to go check out, but I'm thinking that's going to be good bedding in there. Put a scrape right on that point, right on the intersecting trails before it gets to the oaks. And then I prepped a tree to monitor the rut cruising area. That's gonna be really easy water access. It's right off the water, park the boat, 20 yards right there, blow my wind back. They'll have that crosswind for the deer. So that spot's looking good. It's really close to the house, so it's gonna be an easy hunt.
Well, that was chest deep. And my waders, they have a hole in them. Not a good way to start the day off. Wet already. So I carried the waders out here, so I didn't have to get wet. Oh. Found a spot. This tree right here. It's a pretty cool spot. So we got water, we got bedding on this edge. There's a little pine island over here. This tip is all pine, so definitely late season bedding, thermal cover. Got a scrape down there. Massive rub line coming this entire edge here. We got oaks up here on this point. So this tree can shoot the scrape, can shoot all these entrance trails, can shoot this rub line as they're coming in from the bedding up to the oaks. And what makes this spot unique, I only found on 2 old wooden tree stands. So obviously those haven't been used in forever. And then a ladder stand where the seat was completely rotted out and it's just metal bars. Oh shit, what is that? Oh, it's a python rock. That looks like a snake. That scared the shit out of me. Ooh. Someone hacked this. Wow. Shoot. I was just gonna say, there's no human pressure here. That I saw. No. There's no human pressure here that I saw. That was the first thing. And it looks like someone was a dick and hacked off someone's trail cam lock. But regardless, this is a peninsula point that is off a major road it's off a major road with not obvious access, meaning you wouldn't know that it's public, which is good. Then on the west side, and then on one side is a big lake, and on the other side is private. So it's inconspicuous access, that you have to access it from there. One side is water, the other side is private. So as long as the private land isn't getting, someone's not hunting it from the private land, it should be a good spot. But it's a point with a bunch of pines. And then outside so you have the point here. My setup is over there. So you got water here, private all that way, water here. I identified this tree, this pine tree here, because this is open field and there is just crossing routes everywhere. So I got 2 spots. One over the scrape and one cruising route. So this could be like a tag team hunt in the rut. The window would have to be very specific to get both people in cleanly. But one person covers one side of the bedding, the other person covers the other side of the bedding. Pretty cool. 2 spots done, and an hour in today. Now I'm back to the car. Gotta get my waders back on, cross that freaking creek, and then grab the dogs, go to a couple more spots.
I had a buddy hit me up and wanted to go scouting on a private piece that he has access to. So we went out there, and other people have access to this too, so it's not just him. And we found a lot of stands. You know, they can leave it up year round, doesn't really matter. So it was tough. Every, you know, I e-scouted it, and every good looking spot had a stand on it. Like, damn, you know, some pretty good hunters in here. But, you know, that doesn't mean anything. The deer are still there. So we're looking around, found a really good looking buck bed and figured out how to set up on it, where I think they're going to be traveling to, that sort of thing. So we got to go back in there and really pick out the tree based on those travel routes. But as we were diving in a little bit deeper, we found a lone apple tree. And this one was really interesting because it had those vines on it. And this was the biggest vine. I mean, it was huge. It was a huge vine. And again, it's private land, so chop that right down because those vines will just completely choke out a tree. And they're invasive. And it's an apple tree. You want those apples there, especially for deer hunting. So we pulled all the vines down off the tree, you know, kind of scattered it, cleaned up the understory there so deer can move around underneath the tree, cut the vines from the ground. So hopefully no other vines are growing. The tree probably is 20 or 30% alive. I mean, it was, there was buds and leaves and stuff, you know, just starting to green up. And the vast majority of the canopy was just, was dead. So I'm really hoping with that extra sunlight that apple tree is going to survive, because it's right on a really thick crossing route. Everything else is super thick around it. It's coming from bedding, hitting that apples, going to a really big oak tree. So we put a scrape there, put a camera on it to monitor it. I need to get in there within the next month or so to make sure everything's good, do the final prep, set the camera for the season, and just kind of let it be. Pretty pumped for that spot, actually. It's not too often do you find a lone apple tree in the wild like that.
So I'm on this island here, all surrounded by marsh. I saw this rub right here, and bucks will mark their trail for food, and the trail kind of wraps that way. But what I do is if I see that, I just kind of look around for any other rubs. And I saw some up here. So I saw that one right there, and then come in here. There's a rub. This is all rubbed up here. That one's rubbed, and then the opposite side here is rubbed. And I'm looking at this, there's some rubs over there too. And I'm looking at this like we're in the wet season, so it's gonna be a little bit drier. It's not terribly matted down, so I don't think it's being used like crazy amount, but it seems like just a good solid little cave bedding area in here. You got the rubs in, you got close to food. I found a bunch of doe bedding on that edge, so you're close to the does. You got an exit trail here, exit trail there, and then this is the main trail. I'm on private land, so I cut all this because this fell. So when this was standing upright, this trail was open. So I cut these down, kind of trimmed out some thing to open up this trail. And the reason why I did that is because I believe this is a buck bed. So if that's true, a buck has found this spot and it is suitable for them to feel safe. By having what appears to be the main entrance exit trail, whatever it is, blocked, that reduces the safety factor because he can't exit as cleanly, or he can't enter without making making more noise. So I open that up so it's a cleaner, or so it's a safer exit and a cleaner entrance. Seems to be another little trail here, so I'll chop these two just as well. But again, that spokes on the wheel. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4 trails right into this little area here. Isolated, there's no other beds around. There's rubs in the bed. You got food, you got does. So I think this is gonna be a buck bed. Stumbled upon an apple tree. This is gonna be good. We came in here off this thick trail and I was like, oh, that looks like an apple tree. I'm 99% sure it is based on the buds. But this thick vine here, until I cut it, completely choked this entire tree out. So you're only seeing buds where it's getting sun way up top, down low and stuff. So we cut the vine, pulled the rest of them down, cleared out all the understory. So this thing is about to get so much more sunlight. It's on a very heavy trail going this way, and another trail coming out there. So it's going to be crossing, then it splits, skirts the edge, and goes up to that big oak right there. So we did mock scrape right under the tree, right on the trail, and then we identified that tree right there. So we cleared all this out so we can get up into that tree. And then as they're coming in, if for whatever reason they come in here and get hung up, you have another shot. So the idea is that this will be kind of leafed out, give us cover as they come in. They're going to be focused on the scrape, the apples. Hopefully won't notice us. Hit the scrape, start eating some apples. One right here. There's the shot. So 2 shot opportunities as they're coming through.
So in this final clip here, it's a really good lesson of why to be mobile. The deer pattern shifted from October through the end of the season, and shifted enough that if you set up in a particular way, you would have been completely out of the game. Good lesson on why being mobile increases your odds as a deer hunter and why you need to do it.
Here's how deer movements can shift from season to season or from year to year. So right there is my trail cam, and I was monitoring this crossing. Barely can see the trail. So in the fall, this was their main crossing route. Now look at this. Got this trail splitting off there, which is a little bit more used. And we have this trail that's really being used. So much more heavy movement through here. So let's say you were setting up to monitor where my camera was over there. You know, that's maybe 30 yards away. So let's say you're 20 yards on the other side of that trail. Now you're 50 yards away, so now you're out of bow range for this new trail. So that's a good lesson in being mobile and reading the sign as you come in, because if you had a prefix stand, 50 yards over there to shoot that main crossing, you set it up maybe, last year, you're gonna hunt it next year, something like that, or even October 1st through late December, something like that. Now you're out of the game just because the deer have shifted over to this new trail. So read the sign as you come in, be mobile, change trees, get in the proper tree, not where you think they are, where they definitely are.
But the reason why I was going in there is because a couple years ago, I got on a buck and I think I heard him sloshing around in the swamp at night. Something was moving in. It was just a lone deer, and just kind of was that 10 yards off the hardwood edge, right at closing time, So, and it was right coming in from a rub and scrape line. So pretty confident it was a buck. I went in there this year and kind of find a better travel route, but didn't hunt it. So now that it's springtime, I really wanted to refine that area. That travel route where he was coming out of the swamp, where the rubs first start, I ended up putting a scrape there, identifying a tree, hung a camera, and am gonna monitor that area. So I'll go back in there mid-October, mid-November or so, check the camera and see if that buck has showed up yet or if I'm a little too early. But he's definitely in there that middle of November time frame, I think. So hopefully this spot will lead me to a little bit better timing.
In this pine thicket here, and I know bucks move through. Here's a little bed, pretty worn out, lots of hair in it. And right through here, look at the size of that bed. That's a big bed. So I think a doe has moved in, and there were some down there too. So they're gonna sit in these pines for winter to get out of the cold, get out of the wind. Even though it's a buck's main travel corridor in the fall, does have moved in the winter. So I was just over there. That's one that I showed. Second bed right there. We got a third little minor bed. Fourth, that big one, filled with hair. But I don't know what happened to that deer. It ain't feeling well. Another one here. Another one there. Possible one there. This area is just stocked full of them. Pretty cool. All right, got a scrape set. That tree right there, it's gonna be the best bet because the trail goes, so that left leaning tree right there, hit the scrape, and then it goes left before this tree, just like that. Big rub, big rub, big rub. And then this trail kind of curls back in, goes down the hill. We got oaks, we got bedding, we got a point, we got big rubs. I have experience with this deer back in 21. I came in after the rut during gun season, tore up with rubs. I sat further on down that way, and I heard him in the swamp sloshing around right before last light. So I knew that there was a buck in there. This year, I didn't make it back in. So I scouted it, in-season scouting. I followed his trail, his rub line to here, and it looks like this is where he's entering the hardwoods. So he's either bedding back there, but I don't know, I just have a feeling that this point is better than that area back there. So trying to capitalize on that. So I got the scrape set up, picked out the tree on the trail. I'm gonna put up a camera and hope for the best. I like this spot because it's not obvious access. There's, it's close to the road, but there is water and there is private, and it blocks and no parking. So it blocks the majority of people coming out because it's not easy or obvious to get to. Have I had good luck here? Oh, there's good sign. Seem to be onto a buck, or just know that a buck is here, I should say. I'm not on him, not yet at least. I know that there's a buck that could be here that I want to get on. So we'll see what that scrape does, what that camera picks up. When I came in here, I kicked up 3 deer, and they were pretty big too. And I was following their tracks, and the one that I was following was a buck track. It was decently big, definitely not a monster or anything like that, but good sized buck track. So we'll let that soak all summer. Hopefully the deer take over the scrape, and see it back come pre-rut, because this spot is tore up with rubs and scrapes. So I know it's a good rut spot. With that red oak there too, a little bit of food, swamp point, bedding, isolation, all that good stuff. Come in on a crosswind, should be a good spot. That rub right there is what got me interested in this spot. You can see this huge runway. That's what I was just happened to come across a couple years ago. And so far it seemed to lead to good things. But that rub has been hit every year. But where it's been hit and where all this traffic is not a good spot. I bet it gets a lot of pressure here, but not further back where I think he's coming from.
Yeah, and that's it. That's my spring scouting so far. It was a very busy February, March, and April. Haven't really gotten out since then. May, summer starting, got plans, and now it's into June. So I need to make some time here to finalize all my spots before it gets too late and gets close to season. So thanks for watching. Appreciate it.